Okay, we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing functions. Now, sometimes you might think, oh, that's going to be harder than addition and subtraction, but in some ways it's not. A lot of times dividing functions is almost the easiest out of the four. So let's look at multiplication first. So when I'm multiplying f of x times g of x, I'm taking my f of x, which is 2x, and I'm going to multiply this by g of x, which is x plus 3. So when you multiply, remember we are distributing, so we're going to take this entire 2x term and we're going to multiply or distribute that to the other set of parentheses. So because there are two terms in here, we should get two terms at the end. So 2x times an x gives me a 2x squared, and 2x times a positive 3 gives me a positive 6x. So we are done with that one. Now, g divided by f of x. We are going to divide. We're going to use a fraction symbol. We're not going to use this symbol as we divide. So g of x comes first. So we're going to have x plus 3 being divided by, so again, using a fraction bar, 2x. Now in this case, nothing simplifies out. So you would want to look to see if anything cancels out. So in some way, this is it. However, we also want to talk about domain restrictions. Remember, domain is all of your x values. So is there a number x cannot be in order to make this no solution? So how that happens is when you look at the denominator, there's one number that you're not allowed to have in the bottom of a fraction, and that is the number 0. So what number could I replace with x to give me a 0 in that denominator? And the only number is going to be when x is 0. And so what we would do is we would say, comma, x cannot equal to 0. And the reason that is true is because if I replace 0 in the denominator, 2 times 0 gives me 0, and I can't divide by 0. Now, having a 0 in the numerator is fine because 0 plus 3 gives me 3. That's okay. But in the denominator, I can't have a 0. Now, how would you find that if it wasn't that easy? What you do is you take your entire denominator, in this case 2x, and you're going to set it equal to 0, and you're going to solve for x. So for example, in this case, we would divide both sides by 2, but 0 divided by anything is 0. So x would equal 0, showing that x is the only number, or I'm sorry, that 0 is the only number that cannot be subbed in for x in this entire equation. X can be 1, it can be a negative number, it can be a million, any other number on the number line except for 0 makes this true. So g divided by f of x is going to be x plus 3 divided by 2x. Nothing can simplify. However, we need to realize that we have a restriction in the domain, restriction in the x values. X cannot be equal to 0. What that does graphically is it gives us what's called an asymptote. So that's going to be something that we'll learn later.